There was this game when I was like 9 or 10 years old by the Magic School Bus. There was a game inside the game that what you had to do was like you had to extinguish these fires of lava. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Dice here, and I want to welcome you to the third part in the video series on cleaning your slate. So it come to my attention that I've actually left out some stuff from the second part in the video series that I kind of just want to cram into this video so that I can help you out. Hey, if you don't know me, I'm Dice. I help young, analytically and logically minded men just like you find your purpose by bringing meaning and clarity into your life. So if you like this sort of content, then I want you to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully you can stay tuned because I've got a ton more content coming this way now that I've actually got this YouTube like video setup thing that I've got going on here. Pretty excited about it. So yeah, welcome to my new joint. Recently, I just moved house, and some of these epiphanies come to mind that I want to share with you so that you don't have to go through the same pain and agony that I did. One of the things that I noticed when I was moving house is the amount of time that I wasted and just sort of like doing a lot of boring, mundane, uninspiring tasks, okay? Just simple stuff. Just like not having a dishwasher and having to wash dishes by myself, having all my belongings spread out from like asshole to breakfast, having to dig through bags and boxes to find simple belongings, and how over time that starts to almost like kick in a light level more anxiety. And it's just like those little inefficiencies really start to wear you down. To me, and probably certainly to you, you don't realize how all these little inefficiencies, like how apparent they are until they become like so annoying and like soul destroying. It also sort of begs the question, where else am I doing this, these little efficiencies are screwing with my life? Where else is this sort of like chewing into my motivation and my willpower unnecessarily? And what impact is this having to my overall success? I want to put this in practical terms for you so that you've got some takeaway stuff that's really easy to remember, okay? It's really simple shit. If you don't have a fucking dishwasher, you're an idiot, okay? If you don't have not actually like spent the time to try and find ways to get your life in order, to optimize your life, you're an idiot, okay? And I'm also saying this to myself, okay? I want this to fucking really pierce in you and really give you a kick in the ass so that you can get your life in order, okay? So I inherited these ideas to do with dishwashers probably from my mother, okay? That was infected into my brain from a young age. And until you actually address all these things at a later stage, that framework is stuck into your subconscious mind. So mum would say things like, oh, dishwashers waste water. Oh, you have to spend 30 cents. Oh no, 30 cents to actually to use a dishwasher. She said stuff like, you have to pre-wash the dishes anyway, which is a load of shit. Like if you actually you have a dishwasher like I do, you can load that bitch up with a whole lot of stuff. Doesn't matter how dirty it is, and it comes out clean. They're fantastic machines. Another thing that she'd say is like, oh, it doesn't actually take that long, okay? Which is kind of ridiculous because when you really add up all the time, you're like, holy shit, there's actually a fair bit of time wasted in washing dishes and meal prep. The point of having a dishwasher is not to have clean dishes, okay? I know this is going to sound a bit counterproductive. It's not to have clean dishes. No, it's to save your freaking time, okay? It's to stop your mind from going into that disengaged state while you're doing menial and like mundane, boring tasks like this hand motion and putting you into that like it's literally a disengaged state. Another thing is in the mornings when your mind is clear, okay, you don't want to be chewing up your willpower and your motivation while you're doing like frustrating and annoying tasks that you really don't want to be doing. It sort of trains your brain to be in like a high cortisol state. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to force consistent habits, get appliances, optimize your life in such a way so that everything in your home and in your life is efficient and optimized, especially more so if you're about to take on a project to do the things that you actually want to do. You're trying to use those appliances to give you the time to go after things that are actually important, okay? So you need to have a dishwasher. You need to have a fucking, a dryer. You need to have things that are like optimized. You need to have your car optimized. You need to make sure that you're not spending a shitload of time on a commute to work, wasting time. You need to make sure that your room's set up, your kitchen set up, your food set up, so that you have these time slots available where you're excited to actually do the things that you want to do. You don't realize it, but you're being robbed by the mentalities, by your family and the people around you and the sort of like mediocre think that I've talked about in other videos. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to take back your power. Take back your power. Take back your mind, and stop like allowing this bullshit to infect your mind anymore. Okay? Now, I'm not saying don't have a shower. I'm not saying like become a maniac and then constantly be like completely and always work orientated, although it does have its place. But to have some efficiencies, it goes a long way. So to recap, the goal is to optimize everything around you efficiently as possible so that you can free up enough time and space to do the things that are actually important to you. Another thing that's a key point here, that's very key, is you need to think of willpower and motivation as like a depleting chemical that's in your brain that is like, it depletes over the course of the day and you get recharged as you sleep, okay? So you don't want to waste this. You don't want to waste this on unnecessary tasks or having things like spread out all over the place. If you don't do this, when it actually becomes time for you to do a passion project, you are so depleted of your motivation and willpower because you've been running around doing all this unnecessary shit that you resort to like a disengagement activity simply because you're so exhausted. Okay, so you're trying to avoid that. You need to become laser focused so that you can actually do the things that you actually want to do. A key like sentence that I got from a guy that I look up to greatly is this guy called Max Tornow. He says this line, he says, success is in the setup. Success is in the setup, okay? So if you optimize and set up your life in such a way, you're able to go after the things that are really important. I really like the way that he talked about that in his video. You're going to have many excuses that'll come up when you're in this sort of like evolution of optimizing your life. So I've got some of the most popular excuses that I certainly have and that you're probably going to have when you're actually going down this path, okay? So let me read them out to you. So number one, we don't like change, and we recognize that installing a dishwasher or something like that is a boring and time investing job. So we don't bother to invest in it and continue to do the old way, even though it's costing us our future. Number two, to change all of this would mean that we'd have to realize how much of our lives we've actually wasted, washing dishes and doing menial, boring, unnecessary tasks. And this really starts to hurt the ego. Number three, we are addicted to our habits and actually like being in a disengaging activity when it feels like that we're actually like moving us forward, okay? So it's like a bit of a sinister situation that's going on where you feel like you're moving forward, you're doing that busy work, you're doing all these little small tasks, but what you're really doing is you're actually just spinning your wheels. You're not actually going anywhere. You're not actually doing the tasks that are important to actually move you forward. Instead, you're doing tasks that feel like you're doing something that's moving you forward. It's very hard to differentiate the two, but intelligent people and people that watch like self-development videos, they're always trying to learn, okay, where am I actually going wrong with this? Where am I actually wasting my freaking time? Number four, this one I noticed a little bit in myself, but mostly learned through my mother, was we may have an underlying excuse that like hard work is who I am. And more so to do with my mother is like, and it's part of giving love, okay? So for example, my mother's has this thing where like her language of love is through preparing meals and like doing washing, okay? So if you take that away from her, you stop her from washing dishes, you stop her from putting the clothes out on the line, stacking clothes and those sort of stuff, doing all these like sort of like unnecessary tasks that are a bit outdated, you're actually taking away a love language, you're actually taking away a lane for her to express her appreciation. Not so much appreciation, more so I appreciate it, more so you're taking away a reason for her to live, okay? It's getting rid of her identity, and she would have to sort of go back into what we talked about, which was number two. Her ego is attached to doing those menial, boring, mundane tasks. So yeah, all these sort of excuses are going to come up, and maybe through some of these lists you're able to notice them in yourself. If you're getting some out of this video, I really appreciate it if you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel a great deal, and it helps us sort of like grow this channel and reach out to more men so that they can sort of step up, find their purpose and go after things that are really important to them. So yeah, hit that like button. Alright, so let's get into the next topic. The next topic is how do we stay motivated and engaged when we're doing like boring yet important tasks that are the ones that are like going through that list that we talked about in the second video. And also, how do we like postpone burnout, or how do we like even avoid burnout altogether when we're overwhelmed with tons of boring and shit tasks that we have to do on our way to pursue our ultimate success, all right? The way that I like to explain this is I call it extinguishing and diverting fires, okay? The best way I can explain this is like there was this game when I was like 9 or 10 years old by the Magic School Bus. Maybe I'll insert a little clip here so you understand what I'm talking about.
Seatbelts, everyone! Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend? No way! Come on, ride on the Magic School Bus!
There was a game inside the game that what you had to do was like you had to extinguish these fires of lava that would come out of an active volcano, like an erupting volcano, so that you would actually gain points by like moving like these pylon blocks so that the lava would go away from people's houses.
Welcome to Operation Rescue. Your challenge is to save this town by guiding the lava flow around the buildings and safely down the mountain.
I know, okay, now I know this sounds like ridiculous, but this is like something that I was like a ninja at when I was a young kid. I was like the best one in the school at this game. And it's because I was so good at it and I played so much of it, it's like stuck in my head. And that's the way that I kind of like remember how to try and keep this sort of thing fun, okay? Because, you know, if you can try and find your own analogy, but this one is the best one that works for me, okay? But what you're trying to do is you're trying to like do these tasks in such a way that you get a little dopamine hit every time you accomplish one of the little tasks that are boring and mundane on the list, okay? This sort of keeps you excited and wanting to continue the task even though it's kind of like boring and it's really like soul destroying. So what you want to do is you want to try and keep your reward circuitry active, okay? You want to try and like, you know, reward yourself every time you tick something off the list. So I believe a short trip to Pleasure Island actually could help you out a lot. So this could mean things like, you know, jerking off. This could mean things like, you know, doing something special with the missus, hanging out with friends, maybe watching a movie, maybe watching a comedy movie, or some sort of like, or I would even encourage you to do like a short, disengaging task, just so that, you know, like you can reward yourself to actually be excited about your mini micro behind the scenes accomplishments that you've done. Like what do they call them? They call them like the success behind the scenes. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to reward yourself every time you do something that is like still moving you in the right direction, but not get lost in Pleasure Island. Because if you stay there for too long, you end up like losing all this productivity and you are now gone too far to the other side where you're actually getting like a dopamine from doing nothing. But anyway, if you got something out of this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're at a stage where you think that you want to like, you know, find your purpose, find some clarity in your life, and you're really struggling with this sort of shit, then I want you to send me a message on Instagram right now while it's actually fresh in your mind. You and I can get on a one-on-one discovery call. We can actually find out if we're actually a good fit for each other. I'll ask you a whole heap of questions. You can ask me a whole heap of questions. We'll see if we're actually a good fit. And if we actually are a good fit, I'll put you through my mentoring program and your life's going to change for the better in ways that you could never fucking imagine, okay? I want to help you get clarity. I want you to help you to get your purpose. I want you to have a reason to get out of bed. I want you to stop doing these circles that we're talking about. And I want you to have more of identity and an understanding of who you are at your core. So with that being said, I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Dice out.
You can move the lava flows by carefully placing concrete blocks. Click to choose the kind of block you want on the side of the screen. Then click to place it in front of the lava. Hurry, there's no time to lose.